There, okay. So I'm just going over to D2L and our Math 1046. There we are in our grades, open grades. So the MyMathLab homework assignments work out to 30%. Pre-tests are worth 10% of the mark, but your unit tests are worth 50%, and then your D2L assignments are 10% of your mark. So 50% of your mark comes from your unit tests, and the rest, the other 50% are mostly your MyMathLab homework assignments, which are 30%, and there's one per section that you're covering for the unit. Pre-tests are 10%, and then the D2L assignments, like your introduction assignment that you did for the welcome unit, that's part of the 10% for the grade. And what we're looking at in the course is that you get two things in order to get the credit for Math 1046. You have to have an overall grade of 60% or above, and you also have to get a mark of 60% or above on each of your tests. So if you fail a test, if you get underneath that 60%, you are at risk for failing the course, because and that's across all of Nova Scotia Community College School of Access programs, because we're an outcome-based course. The programs that require our course as a prerequisite, they want to know that their students are successful in all the topics. So if you end up on a unit getting less than 60% on a test, it's not the end of the road. It just means that you need to have a student would have a conversation with me, and we'll look at ways to try and make up for that assessment. So in the past, it's been a second attempt at a test, or it could be doing a makeup assignment. It all depends on the situation of the student and how they've done in the unit and how they've progressed in the course. So I'm just putting it out there about what's the expectation in order to pass, but also know that there is a bit of a safety net if you find that that you have like a weak unit and you don't pass a test. There will be options.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
all.
for the proctored tests, are they on a computer at the school as well? Like we bring our own computer?
No. For the proctor test, you do it on the campus, and you're going to do it in a testing center, and they have the desktops there, and you're going to.
Okay, so okay.
Yes, and you're going to be logging into your account on D2L, and then from that getting into your MyMathLab account. So it's not going to be anything brand new or surprising. You're going to,
Okay.
yeah, it's going to be the test in MyMathLab that you're used to doing at home, but now you're doing it on campus.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured. I just wasn't sure whether I had to like bring my own laptop or anything like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, nope, no laptop. And so when you're doing your take-at-home test, we're not there, so you can use your notes and your textbook. The only thing that we ask is that you don't use any external web pages. So we really rely on student integrity to, keep to just the resources that you have in terms of your math book and your notes, and of course your calculator. But stay away from other resources on the internet. We can't police that at home. At the campus, they do police it, and they'll say, you only access your MyMathLab page, and they'll be supervising. You're also allowed your calculator at the test, and you are allowed a one-page study sheet for those proctored tests. So it's a little bit different at home. You have your textbook and your notes. For the two tests, and there's only two proctored tests, you can bring a one-page study sheet, both sides, and you decide what you want on it. So some students put formulas, some students put worked examples that they're worried that they might forget how to do. It's whatever you need on that study sheet to bring with you.
okay.
Yeah,
All right, that sounds reasonable.
and you get scrap paper too. So you can write
Perfect.
as much scrap paper as you want.
And I think there's a 2-hour limit for tests.
Yes, the tests are 2-hour limits for both the take-home test and also the proctored tests. And
Do they generally take about 2 hours, or I guess it depends on the student?
no, yeah, it totally depends on the student. There are times that if you understand the material and you're doing well in the course, it should take you at most an hour to complete. So then we just double that to make sure that everybody has lots of time
Okay.
to go over it. And I find that most students complete them in between that 50-minute range and the hour and a half range. So you'll have time to spare to look over your test and check and your answers and stuff. So you shouldn't
Okay,
be
that's
pushed for
awesome.
time. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm just thinking ahead to like when I have to book time off work. Like I want to know
Yes.
which hours to book off so I have enough time to the campus and do it. So,
And that leads to another thing about the proctored test is that you can take the test at any campus in Nova Scotia, and because you folks are close to HRM, you can decide between the IT campus, the Akerley campus, Waterfront. I mean, if you were traveling for work and you were near the Truro campus, you could go to the Truro campus. So you don't have to stick with your closest campus. You can go to whichever one
okay.
is most comfortable for you. And if you go under D2L under NSCC info, there's a testing and proctoring link there, which we don't have our first proctor test until Unit 2, so I'll go over this again. But there is a link there to the testing centers, so you can see the hours that they operate, because they don't all, especially the smaller centers, might only be open a couple evenings a week. So you can see like what campus is going to work best for your schedule, and then you request through that link an appointment on whatever night that you want. So
Okay,
that's,
sounds good.
yeah, so that's underneath our course homepage in D2L, and then the top blue nav bar, there's Nova Scotia or NSCC info, and if you click on that, that will come up.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Clara, you have there's a warning sign on you. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
Sometimes
okay.
the connection cuts in and out. I'm blaming that on the weather.
Yes, because you've got a little triangle beside you, like warning. So yeah, it most definitely can be the weather. Our internet cut out for a little bit too, but now that it's cleared up, I think we're good.
Well, it's pretty windy out here. And
Yeah.
there's a lake right out next to me, so I don't know if the wind's extra or what because of the weather.
The
Yeah,
tree, yeah, the tree.
possibly.
Because of the lake.
I don't know. The trees out here are blowing quite hard, that's for sure.
I think it's fall again.
Oh no, don't say that. I think it's going to be nice tomorrow. I think the next 2 days are going to be back to feeling more spring-like before more rain this weekend. Ah.
I hope so.
So normally, we're going to be doing these on Tuesday night Skype. So every Tuesday night between 7:30 and 8:30 is going to be one of these live Skype tutorial sessions. And as we move into actual units, so in the number theory unit, every week I'll be giving out review videos, which are like the lectures. It'd be kind of the same as if you were in class and your instructor would do some math work, introduce math work on the board. I've taken those lectures that I would have done in class, and they're now a video, and then I'll post them every week. So students can look at that video to get an intro to the unit, and then the Skype session is for students to come in and they can work on their homework in the background and have me there to ask questions, or they can come with questions. So any questions that you're working on that you'd like to have someone help you with, you can come into Skype on Tuesday night and say, Lori, can you help me with this one? And we can work through it. And sometimes I'll be presenting a problem in the Skype session, but the Skype sessions aren't for this course aren't lecture based because they've all been in the videos. And you'll find that when you get in the number unit, I'll be posting those review videos in the newsfeed, but also in the unit there's a video resource link, and in that all the sections are broken down into shorter videos, skill-based videos. So there's lots of videos to access. There's videos in MyMathLab. You'll see that when we move into Unit 1. And then of course there's the internet videos like Khan Academy that you can look for yourself. So it's a lot of video support in Math 1046 and Math 1047. And the Skype sessions are meant to be one-on-one you know, bring your questions, and I'm there to help you work through them and show you some things. If students can't make the Tuesday night tutorial, I always record them, and I have students that will send me an email the day before, the day of, and say, Lori, I can't be there tonight, but can you go over this question? So feel free to do that if you can't make a session, and in between, so you don't have to wait for a week for that session, you can send me an email with your question. That Ask My Instructor button under Question Help in MyMathLab is fabulous, and then every unit also has a Q&A discussion board, so that if you post there, other students can help you as well, and I always have an alert notification that comes to me when someone's posted it in the Q&A, so that I can answer questions too. But that's kind of the way we're going to run with Unit 1 starting Thursday. We just give this time for everybody to catch up with setting up D2L and setting up MyMathLab, and just practicing some of those refresher skills before we go right into Unit 1. So,
Awesome.
yeah. Do you guys have any other questions that you have about the course in general?
Well, I'm looking at the practice problems that we have to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And we open it up, and down on the bottom, if you scroll further down, it gives you the answers to the practice problems.
And is this in Unit 1 or in the refresher unit?
This is the practice problems in the, let's see, where it is. Hold on. It's under the MathLab. It's underneath the 1 week fresher, and
Okay.
Go down below, and it says MathLab course home, and then it goes into arithmetic, algebra.
Oh,
ratios,
yes. Yep, I'm just going to bring that up. Oh, that's my wrong course. There we go. So you're in the refresher unit under content, and then I can share this with you. Just a sec. Let me come back. Present desktop.
My question, Lori, though, with regards to that one, the MathLab course, or it says MathLab course, does that have to be completed for tomorrow evening at 11:30?
Just the test, just that placement test. That's
the placement test?
Yeah.
Okay, what about the, let's see, where is it? I had it written down, the MathLab quizzes and tests.
Yes, so that's just a link to get you into MyMathLab. Can you see my desktop, my D2L page now? Do you see that?
It says loading for me. I don't know
it's
about Clara.
It's probably slow. That's probably what's going on. Clara, that's just a link to get you to MyMathLab. And have you already set up MyMathLab? Have you been into it already?
Oh, I'm in there. Well, I'm not sure. I went online. I think it was some kind of binder or something. You had to sign in. I've been in there. Now, is that what you're talking about?
No. So the binder is part of D2L, and we don't use the binder, but we use another program called MyMathLab, and the setup is in the to-do list of the welcome unit. So have you been through the to-do list on the Have you been through the to-do list in the welcome unit?
Yes, I have. I completed the to-do list. Now I'm just going through, again, like I'm at the MathLab quizzes and tests. That has to be completed, correct?
Just the placement assessment.
Oh, okay.
And I'm wondering if you've been in MyMathLab. So did you click on the green widget underneath the calendar on the course homepage?
Let me see. Green widget.
I think I get to MyMathLab through Pearson, I think. Does that make sense?
Yep, so through the Pearson green box, which is underneath the calendar. There's so if you go on the
I'm
course,
in MyMathLab right now. I just got in.
Yeah, so that's a separate program, and and it looks very different from D2L. And the best way to get into it is by going from the course homepage. Underneath the calendar, there is a green, it says Pearson with a green background, and then underneath that the subtitle is Pearson, MyLab, and Mastering.
Okay, I've been on that.
Oh, great.
Check that out.
Okay, so that's where you have practice assignments on each of those topics of arithmetic and graphing and that sort of thing. And that's just there for extra practice if you need it. Then there's a pre-test, and there's 5 attempts at the pre-test. And again, that's just practice to show you what it's like to do the actual placement assessment. But the only thing you have to do for the refresher unit is the placement assessment. You don't have to do any of those practice assignments. You don't have to do any of the pre-tests unless you want to. It's just the placement assessment test that's due by midnight tomorrow night.
Okay. So it says homework and tests, quizzes and tests. That's the placement test, correct? Because it says practice math 1043 challenge test, and below it says math placement.
Yes. So let me bring that up so I get the wording correct for you. Dun, dun, dun. I'll do it here from the student side. Marianne, can you see my screen yet, or is it still loading?
Not yet, but I am looking at it on my MathLab, so
Okay.
I'm trying to follow along.
I was just wondering if if it was coming up through my screen. I guess Skype's really slow tonight. So under quizzes and tests, Claire, there's a practice math challenge test. That's that one that says practice math challenge test. That's the pre-test, and then the math placement is the actual assessment that you have to do. Those titles are confusing, but you can see that with the practice math challenge test, you can see that there are 5 attempts, and the math placement, there's only 1 attempt. So that math placement is the test that's to be completed by tomorrow at midnight.
Okay, so the practice math challenge test that I've been working on, it has
Yes.
5 attempts.
Yes.
Is that a prerequisite to the math placement? Because I'm wondering if what I completed in that practice math test I did, is it going to have the same, is it going to be in the math placement test, in other words?
It's going to be very similar. So the types of questions you're seeing in that practice test is going to be similar to what you see in the math placement test.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it says time limit 90 minutes. So is it timed once you click on
Yes, and you have 20 minutes to complete
the start, I guess, once you start?
Sorry, you have 90 minutes from the start, and there are 20 questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is that my computer crashed at one point and it had to reload and everything when I was
Yes.
working on the challenge test. So I thought, oh my, I lost the.
That sometimes happens and in an online course, and if that ever happens where you're doing something and your computer crashes, you just let me know, and it's fixable. So if it happens that you lose all of your data and it's and it's 5 minutes to midnight on a deadline night, you just let me know that that's happened, and we'll make sure that we'll get you another attempt, or we'll fix it. Sometimes it looks like it doesn't save on your end, but it saves on mine. So don't worry about it. It's definitely a pain and it's frustrating if it does happen. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, it's no big deal. We'll figure out a solution.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And so the idea with this math placement is just an indication of how ready you are with those foundational skills. So we're looking for an 80%, but this mark doesn't go towards any of your marks. Actually, on Thursday, I wipe all of your marks clean for MyMathLab, and I load the actual course. So we say goodbye to the refresher unit, and then we start unit 1. The reason for the math placement is, again, just so that you get an indication of your readiness, and from that you can decide whether you want to stay in the course. So historically what we find is that we get students that come into online and we get them, they have to start right away on unit 1, and they don't get time to really get an idea of where they are in their math skills, and it wasn't working very well. So we've built in this refresher unit just to get people up and practicing and getting their math brain working again, and it gives them an idea of first what an online course is like and how hard, how much time it takes, because next Monday is the last day to withdraw and get a refund. So we like to make sure that everybody gets a good feel for the course and how things go before they make that decision on Monday of whether they want to stay in the course or whether they want to, change direction, maybe give themselves a little bit more time, get a better time in the year to do stuff. So if you find that you don't get the 80% on the math placement, just let me know. I'll know Thursday because I'll be looking at the test marks and stuff, and then we'll just talk about how you're feeling, if you feel that you can if you feel that even though you didn't make the 80, that things were coming back and you were like, oh yeah, I remember how to do that, my fractions are a little bit weak, but it's coming back to me, that sort of stuff, and that will be great. I have many students that have done very well in Math 1046 without getting the 80% on that placement assessment, and it just helps them to realize, oh, that just means I'm going to have to put a little bit more effort in when it comes to signed numbers or fractions or square roots and that sort of stuff, and we revisit it a lot of the refresher unit in unit 1. So it's not like we start unit 1 on Thursday and just start off with graphing quadratics. We start with number theory and what you've been doing this week. We review it and then we take it a little bit further. But there will be students that after doing the math placement will decide that that online right now is not a good time because they might have a heavy work schedule, they might have a heavy family life, and they didn't realize that there was so much work to an online course, or they didn't realize that the level of the math course. So many students will decide to change gears and maybe go into Foundations Math, which is the lead-up course to Math 1046, and some students decide that Health Math might be the better fit for them as well. So this just gives us a discussion point, sort of a launching pad to look at those other options.
Well, I'm attending NSCC there at Waterford campus. I'm taking the drafting course there, and I completed the applied. Yeah, I finished the first math for this first semester, Applied Mathematics 1. Now, I didn't pass the second Applied Mathematics. That's fine. That's why I'm taking this course, so I can, rush up on it and get the 1047, which is the equivalent to the Applied Mathematics 2.
Oh, great. Okay, that's cool because there's other people that I've noticed that are taking, that are from the, I guess it's just the drafting has decided that this is a way to make up for that course, so that's great.
Yeah, it is. It's my attempt to make sure that I get in and get my math skills up to par where it needs to be.
That's great. And considering that you've just come from an in-class math course, you have that, you're kind of, you've had that practice, right? So your brain's already geared towards doing this stuff. So that's great.
Yeah, I think I know what my problems are. It's the word problems, because our exam and our tests were all word problems. They're not just solving equations. They're taking word problems, finding the formulas, and then applying the equations and finding the
Right. Now we do have some word problems and some units that look at that, but in the beginning we are definitely just working with numbers and working with fractions and integers, and we do a lot of graphing. So I hope you'll find that it's something that you'll like and that's interesting for you. Not so much. It's not always going to be it's not going to be all word problems all the time, so that will be good.
Well, that's fine, as long as I get a strong foundation to going into the word problems.
Yeah. No,
I don't mind that. I don't mind doing that work.
Great. Great. So if it sounds like you've gotten into MyMathLab, so that's fantastic. And now you know that you can pick and choose of those assignments. If you feel that you need a little bit more practice in any of those areas, but really the only thing you need to do for Wednesday night is that math placement.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you've already done your introductory post, so you're good that way. And yeah, and then we're just waiting for Thursday to come so we can start the Unit 1, and you can look at it now too if you wanted to. Anybody who's watching, you can go into Unit 1 number theory and see what sections that we're going to be covering in the textbook. Now I won't be loading that new course in until Thursday morning in MyMathLab, but you'll have, once I load that in, you'll have access to the e-textbook through MyMathLab, but I posted a PDF file of Chapter P in the news feed, so you have that that PDF file of the first chapter as well in the news feed.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of what else. Do you have any other questions, Claire? I think Mary Ann's left us.
No, I guess I got what I needed to, but
Okay.
I thought that I had to do all three, placement assessment and the math lab and quizzes and the 1 week refresher. So I was trying to get all that done.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. The only thing was just the math placement, and all the rest of it is just there if you choose to do it, and for just as an extra tool, but you don't have to do any of it. You can go right into the math placement and do that if you want. Now when we move into the number theory unit, then the homework pieces and the pre-test and the test, you need to do them all, but for this refresher unit, it's just that placement assessment that has to be done by tomorrow night.
Okay, great.
Great.
That's all I need to know.
Okay, perfect. Now, if you ever have any questions, just, let me know. Feel free to reach out. My cell phone and my you can text, you can email, you can call me. Lots of ways to get a hold of me, and also through the Q&A discussion post. But don't hesitate when you have a question. You can send it off to me, because that's what I'm here for. I find that students sometimes are worried, like, oh, I'm sending her too many questions, but there's no such thing as too many questions. That's what I'm here for. And students that ask lots of questions usually find that they're very successful in the course. So I recommend everybody to ask me as many questions as you need.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, great. Well, good luck on the last, on the refresher, getting stuff up, and then let me know how you do. And then Thursday we'll start Unit 1.
Great.
Okay, that's great, Clara. I'm going to stop the recording now. Oh, nope, yeah.
So I was just about to say the same thing. I'm gonna end now. So
yeah, no,
I don't need to stay on for the duration of the the hour.
No. Oh, and that's a great point, Clara. For these Skype tutorials, you don't have to come at the very beginning. So for instance, I'm going to stay on until 8:30. So I'm always in session from 7:30 to 8:30, and students can come in and out at any time. You don't have to stay for the full, just stay for what you need. And if you need to stay for the full thing, stay for the full. And if you get your question answered and then need to go, that's great too.
Great.
Okay.
I just didn't want to be disrespectful. That's all.
No, not for these. As I said, they're not lecture based, and it doesn't affect me when students come in and out. I always like to say hello when they do, but no, not for these ones. I think bio is a bit different.
Okay.
But yeah. So have a good night. Don't get washed away.
You too. I guess you're down at Peggy's Cove, so it must be really waves. The ocean must be have a lot of waves or something.
Well, by Peggy's Cove it would be. I'm a little bit in. I'm in Hackett's Cove, so I'm about 10 minutes from Peggy's Cove. So I'm in the bay a little bit more, and it's more sheltered where I am. But it was crazy with the wind. I don't know. It must have just been this a storm that came in and then flew by, because it was nuts. But now it seems to have calmed down. So that's good.
Yeah, it was coming in waves. It would pour and rain, and then it slow down, then it would stop, and then it would start up again.
Yeah.
But
very strange. But I think it's better now, so I'm hoping for sun tomorrow.
yes, I'll cross my fingers for that too.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you for coming in. Those are great questions, and I'm sure we'll be chatting later.
Okay.
Okay, have a good night, Clara.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.